Mari, this is Rebecca, and I'm here to critique your Assignment 3 presentation. So, um, thank you for including your list of songs and your album name and your band's name. These sketches look great. I appreciate the thumbnails. So for the record design, everything looks really good on the back. I love the geometric ground, giving us this really great perspective with all these grid lines. I love that. Very 80s. I love that beautiful gradient that you have in the mountains there. And then these fun glowing buildings over here, and all of the 80s graffiti. I mean, sorry, not graffiti, the confetti. And then this little star pattern in the background. It's not technically a pattern because it's random. It looks great. It looks great. So the fonts are really wonderful too. So I think what's something that I'd like to see is the change in Party Weekend here. I noticed that on the on the cassette tape, you had a gradient through the words Party Weekend. And I think that looks really cool. And so I was wondering if you would consider bringing over that gradient into this title. And then instead of having, see, I'm just not sure like until I see it, but instead of having this orange and yellow glowing orb, if it would make more sense if it was like a blue glowing orb, kind of more like a moon, since we have a night sky. Unless this is supposed to be the sun coming up in the morning, which I can understand, it might be a little bit different, but because, when we have a sunrise, we would have more of a kind of a sunset-ish sky. So I'm thinking this is supposed to be more of a moon. And so even though it is a gorgeous contrast with that pink in the mountains, I think if you were to make the top of it a darker blue going into a lighter blue gradient, um, we would still get that wonderful contrast in the Party Weekend orange and yellow gradient of the words themselves. So just play with that if you're not into it. If it doesn't look right, I understand. If you want to leave it like this and not have that gradient in here, no problem. But what I would like to see, whether you choose to swap it with the gradient text or not, is the word party. I'd like it to be a lot bigger. So I'd like it to be the same width as weekend. So just scale it up. Like don't stretch it horizontally to match the ends of the W and the D. Scale the whole word so it's just larger in general and it's not distorted. And then make this line height a lot tighter, a lot shorter. So it's just like this kind of big box that says party weekend. And then I love the white highlight that you have there. That looks really good. Um, the best way to do it would be to increase the word party and then have the white highlight be the same as the one on the bottom. If you just expand it the way it is right now, then that white highlight would be thicker than what it is down here. So it would look better and more cohesive if you expanded the black party word and then made your white, kind of highlight up here after you expand it so that it's the same. You just offset it so it's the same little width as it is as on weekend there. The other thing is the rotatedness of it. It feels a little wonky because of all of these lines down here. So we have all of these perfectly horizontal lines. You have your nice horizontal line here, but then this is so rotated at such a more extreme angle that it just, I don't know, it's not melding with the rest of it. So I recommend turning it back so that it is exactly, along a 180-degree plane there. But then if you want, you could kind of like pinch the end, like warp it on this side so that it gets larger as it goes out, kind of like how these lines come out. So you don't have to do that, but I do definitely recommend turning it back so it's straight. I know it doesn't seem as fun, but I think that the changing the word party to make it bigger will be enough emphasis there. So if you don't end up using the gradient, I would like you to consider trying to change the black text to at least this blue, just see how that looks. If it doesn't look right, then don't worry about it. So besides that, I'd like to see retromonics. No, I didn't say that right. Retronomics larger. So just a little bit larger and a little bit further away from the edge from that margin there. So it doesn't have to be gigantic by any means, just a little bit bigger, okay? So that looks really good. The back looks great. I like the logo a lot, and this production information looks good, and the lyrics look good. I'm just wondering if you should add anything to the back, but I think it's good. Okay, so this looks great. So the inside is just a plain centerfold, nothing going on in there. Okay, and then this is the sleeve. That looks really nice. Um, okay. Yeah, I love what you did here with the different colored headers. That looks great, and the changing the fonts looks wonderful. Yeah, this looks really good. I love this a lot. This is really good. Laid out really nicely. And I love the graffiti. I keep calling it graffiti. I love the confetti. So what I was considering is, would you want to add some confetti up in here to kind of jazz up that inside cover a little bit more? It's just up to you, obviously. Okay, and then for the label, so this is feeling a little bit sparse, and so what I'd like to see is if you do change the party weekend, I want to see that new graphic here. And then I think that you should just do something to make this look a little bit more like a real record label. So whether that's adding tiny placeholder copy around the edge for some production information, or dropping in a line across the middle like you saw some of your other classmates do, just something to make it look less sparse. Okay, and these look good, so you'll update these when you get them, and you don't have to resubmit these to me. This is just for your final that you turn in, okay? And then, oh, but if you do change the party weekend text, and you have that in your posters or your backstage pass, if you call it like the party weekend tour or something, just keep that, use that new one that you make for those, okay? Um, then for your cassette tape, you're going to have the same graphic on your cover that you had on your album cover. So you may need to move some things around because it is a much wider, the dimensions are wider. So I think you could do that. You can kind of just cut off a majority of the foreground and then kind of crop it up here, something like that to get that to fit in here. But this would be um, sideways. So you got to rotate it, okay? Actually, yeah. So you're going to rotate it 90 degrees. And usually these are also rotated 90 degrees, the lyrics on that short panel there, but you don't have to rotate that if you don't want to. And this all looks good here. This little panel right here, you might want to put a grid on it, or throw in some confetti, something to, or even that sun or moon, whichever you choose to do, kind of creeping in, just something to add some more visual interest to that blank panel. It can even creep over into this one as well. And this looks good. Um, yep, that looks good. And that looks great too. So like you said, you might need to redo, you'll need to redo these mock-ups. You don't, okay, now that I'm looking at it, you don't have to rotate this graphic sideways. Some of them are sideways, some of them are straight up and down. It's whichever you choose. So I'll leave that up to you. Great. Thank you so much. Let me know if you have any questions.